Thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video prior to Monday's in-service. Monday's in-service will start in the large group instruction room at 3 o'clock. It will stay in the large group instruction room until about 3:30, at which time we'll move to the cafeteria. I'll talk more about that later on in the video. A few general announcements. I talked to you about e-learning days as snow makeup days, and that's something that we are considering for the 2015-16 school year. Please think about, have some general rough ideas in mind about how next school year you could have an e-learning day either on the day we actually have a snow makeup day or in the future, how we would plan for those, and I'll talk more about that as time goes on this spring and into next fall. Today you received an email from Mr. Stegmiller about balanced calendar survey. The school board would like input from teachers as well as parents about their thoughts on a balanced calendar. If you are a staff member and a parent both, you'll receive both emails. Please only answer the staff email if you fall into that category. Standard for Success artifacts. Please remember that you should have 10 of them labeled as each of the competencies in domain 1, so that's 1.1 through 1.5, and the same for domain 3, 3.1 through 3.5. Add documentation or artifacts as they become available throughout the year. It's much easier to do that than it is after the school year is over or at the end of the year. Please remember these are things that are done to help student in domain 1 planning and domain 3 teacher leadership. Next Tuesday, the load test, January 13th, it's going to occur at 10 a.m. statewide. Remember that we will meet first period at 10 o'clock, which is actually during normally third period, so we're going to flip first and third period so that every student will have their laptop available to them with a desk or chair. Homeroom teachers was going to do it today, but would ask you the first day that we're back at school this week to have everybody run updates in homeroom first thing in the morning when we get back to school. As you know, some students will have 30, 40, 50, 60 updates, and that will take some time. So please be patient with that. We've asked them on the announcements to do that, but you and I both know that that probably isn't going to be 100% completed. Technology is an instructional tool. Most of you are already using it at least 3 times a week, but please make sure you're using technology a minimum of 3 times a week. A good example of in addition, not in addition to, but rather in place of, would be giving a test. If you use, for let's say, My Big Campus or Google Forms to give a test or a quiz, that certainly is giving a electronic test or assessment in place of, not in addition to, a paper test. Back in August, I talked about a digital learning day, school-wide digital learning day, not a team-wide. I'm going to throw a date out there of March 13th, 2015, just over 2 months from now, because that's the National Digital Learning Day. It's not a day that we have to adhere to, but it's at least a starting point to see if anybody has pros or cons for that date or a different date. But we need to settle on a date rather quickly. What I would like to do, rather than have students stay at home that day, which we can't do, have students come to school just as they normally would, have a normal day, except their day would be completely digitally focused. I use the example of one person. The teachers would be the flies on the wall in the classroom. We would be the facilitators rather than the leaders of the day. At the bottom of this page, you can see a URL for the Digital Learning Day website. I'll email you this PowerPoint so you have it electronically. There are a lot of subject-specific resources on this website for you to use as you see necessary. Regarding teacher evaluations, JGEA asked us once again to share these weights with you, so here they are. Group 1 teachers and Group 3 teachers. Group 1 being language arts and math. Group 3 teachers being all others. You can see the percentages and the categories there for your information. This spring, later this month, I will start doing spring semester observations, at least 1 per teacher, a minimum of 41 minutes a class period. three areas of focus that are going to look very common to you. We'll discuss these more in depth on Monday, but remember, these were the areas of focus we had last year. I wanted to shift away from them this year, but I've decided to move back to them, and I'll talk more about that on Monday. Please take time to review the RISE. You can look on Standard for Success and see the RISE rubric, or riseindiana.org has it as well. You can see those competencies as well as the areas that indicate highly effective, effective, improvement necessary, or ineffective. Teaching that sticks. This is the article I gave you back in December. On Monday, please come with one example of teaching that sticks that you've done in your classroom and what you did and why it stuck. I will share an example that I have used, and we'll start picking people from there. And lastly, JGEA, through the discussion process, has shared that teachers don't feel comfortable or aren't understanding RISE. So we are going to once again, and for the final time hopefully, talk about RISE, and we're going to combine Yuri and high school staff from 3 to 4:30 to talk specifically about 3 competencies in Domain 2, and you can see them listed there. They're the ones I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago, 2.1, 2.4, and 2.6. That's why I ask you to be very familiar with them on Monday. Mr. Winchell, Mr. Morton, and I will divide you into groups and have some planned activities for you to do to make sure that we are understanding and collaborating regarding these 3 competencies. So Monday we'll meet at 3 o'clock in the large group instruction room, and then about 3:30 we'll move down to the cafeteria to meet with the high school. Thank you very much. Have a great day.